Hey everyone, Sam here, otherwise known as FPL Pricey, and in today's video, I'll be running through my early transfer plans ahead of Game Week 22. Welcome back everyone to another video. Now, in today's video, I'll be running through some of my early thoughts around transfers going into Game Week 22. I've got 2 free transfers, nothing in the bank, and of course, we've got the FA Cup weekend over the weekend before Game Week 22 anyway, and we've also got the Carabao Cup semi-finals, which not only will be interesting to see player injuries and anything going on there, interesting with the lineups, but also because it will start to give us a bit of a picture of the upcoming doubles and blanks in the next few game weeks or so. If you wanted more information on the doubles and blanks, I've just made a video that went out yesterday on chip strategy, the upcoming double and blank projections for the rest of the season. Do go check that out once you're done with this video, of course. And if you did enjoy today's video, leave a like, hit subscribe if you're new around here, and that would be massively appreciated. Let's start off by quickly running over Game Week 21 and how it ended up for me. 58 points was enough for a small green arrow. Yet again, I sit here, again, I can just repeat every single week at the moment. It's either 10k green, 10k red. I'm almost just treading water at the moment, but a green is better than a red. So I'm happy to at least have a pretty decent score. Although it must be said, I was mainly saved by one man in particular, and that was my goalkeeper, Kelleher, who saved yet another penalty. His record saving penalties is unbelievably good. To keep a clean sheet, to save that penalty, obviously he just stood there, but I think it takes some nerve to just stand up to a player, even if you have a feeling they might be chipping it or dinking it, to just stand up and have that kind of boldness to do so. I think that is pretty impressive. That's 2 penalty saves for me from him in the last 6 game weeks. So very, very grateful for that. And it actually matched what Thiago did, who I clearly don't have in my starting 11. I was regretting that yet again. But Kelleher obviously did the business and kind of made it okay not to own Thiago this week, although last week I didn't have that saving grace when he hit the hat-trick. Moving into the rest of my 11, I got the double Arsenal clean sheet from Timber and Gabriel, so happy enough with that. Lewis Hall got an assist, although did concede 3 goals. Interestingly, did play 90 minutes, which I was a little bit worried about, but he got the minutes. So I think that probably gives me a bit more confidence in him moving forwards, because he is very important to what Newcastle do, and his corner taking is fantastic, as well as his crossing, of course, as well. Into my midfield, Elliot Anderson. I was joking in the previous video about how he's only capable of scoring 3 or 4 points. Went and scored 7. So very happy with him. Got the assist from the corner, of course. And I think that almost reinstills confidence in that kind of pick for me, that, okay, he will tick along. He will get 3 and 4 points most weeks. It is a bit boring, but every now and then he is still capable of getting the odd assist, the odd goal. And it will just balance out over a long run. So I'm happy enough with him. He's not exciting. And I'm a little bit gutted that I think he lost possession a couple of times or gave away a couple of fouls, which took him out of the bonus points. But normally hitting 22 DEFCONs in a game, which I think it was around 21, 22, would be enough for him to get bonus points as well. So 7 points from him, perfectly happy. The rest of my midfielders, very different story. Foden, disappointing again. He's gone on this run of getting attacking returns non-stop, and then it's just completely ripped the rug out from under him recently, where I think it's 5 blanks in a row now. Very, very disappointing. We'll talk about him in a moment. CUNHA as well has, again, been pretty disappointing for me. 2 points from him against Burnley, and he didn't even last the 90 either. He'll be off penalties now with Bruno Fernandes back in the action. So he is a transfer waiting to happen. And Bukayo Saka, I was convinced that him being rested in the previous game week against Bournemouth was an indication that he should get really good minutes against Liverpool, and only lasted 75, 76 minutes. So yet again, that might be another little nail in the coffin of him as a pick. If he's not getting the minutes, 10 million plus is just too much money. So he's another player that I am frustrated with. I think he'll keep returning, but at 10 million plus, you need him to be on the pitch for as long as physically possible to give yourself the best chance of those hauls. I'm just not confident he's getting them at the moment. But regardless, 58 points, a green arrow up to just outside the top 300k. I've got 2 free transfers. Let's see how I'm shaping up for next week. Okay, so a quick look at my Game Week 22 team without any transfers loaded in. And honestly, I think it's probably looking okay. I don't think there are any particular weak points this week necessarily, although there are players that I'd prefer not to own at this point. But it's whether or not this is the week to get rid of them. So in goal, Kelleher away at Chelsea. It's not a great fixture. Who knows? Maybe you can save another penalty. I'm hoping for some save points from him. And goalkeepers are such a low upside position normally that I don't know whether it's worth using a transfer to get rid of him just yet. So it's not a great fixture, but it's better than Dubravka away at Liverpool. Into my back four, and I am currently planning on playing a back four. My double Arsenal against Nottingham Forest is pretty simple, although I will keep an eye on how they do against Chelsea in the Carabao Cup, which is just 2 days in terms of rest between the Chelsea game and the Nottingham Forest game. So players could get injured, players could get rotated, maybe Saka, maybe Timber get 90 minutes, and it makes me a little bit more nervous. But as it stands, I'm happy enough with both of them away at Nottingham Forest. Lewis Hall, very similar away at Wolves. I will again be keeping an eye out for their Carabao Cup semi-final against Man City. Watch what minutes he gets in that game and whether or not I need to be a bit nervous there. But I think it'll probably be okay. There's actually quite a good gap, I think, between the Man City game and the Wolves game. So I think he should be okay. And it's a lovely fixture. Even if Wolves have turned a corner a little bit recently, I'm still happy to have him. Then my biggest benching dilemma will come between Alderete and maybe Anderson on my bench. That will be the Fulham Anderson away at Leeds. I think I'm currently backing the home fixture, especially because Crystal Palace have been struggling in front of goal a little bit recently. So Alderete is currently starting, but when we get to my team selection later on next week, I will have a bit more of a debate around that. Into my midfield, I mean, I'm not really happy with any of them, to be honest. They've all been pretty poor. Saka, like I said, I think he's a player I'm losing faith in as a value option in terms of, I think he will probably continue returning, but whether or not it's enough returns and enough minutes for the price that he costs, I'm not sure if that's necessarily holding true anymore. CUNHA, his fixtures have run out. Man City next, and then followed by Arsenal. So he probably makes the most sense as the immediate transfer out. But Szoboszlai has been poor as well. The only saving grace for Szoboszlai and Ekitike, which we'll talk about in a minute, is they've got a great home fixture against Burnley. But once that's out the way, maybe Bournemouth's okay next week as well in game week 23 away from home. So Bournemouth have been decent at home. But it's not filling me with confidence having either him or Ekitike as a pick. Liverpool aren't at their free-flowing attacking best right now. And Szoboszlai doesn't have the best underlying data anyway. The pick was mainly because he had 90 minutes, he was on some set pieces and he had penalties. He's going to lose the penalties when Salah comes back, which won't be long from now at all. Maybe after the Burnley game. So we'll see how he progresses in the African Cup of Nations. So I might get one good game out of him yet against Burnley. Obviously, it's a great fixture. So I think it would be silly to immediately sell him, but I don't want to hold on to him for too much longer. He's probably going to be a player that gets moved on in the next week or two. Then we come on to Phil Foden, who again is just blank after blank after blank right now. Another player that honestly, I'm pretty happy to get rid of very, very soon. But because I've only got 2 free transfers, and transfers are precious with the upcoming doubles and the blanks coming, I don't want to just be throwing them around like they're worthless. Phil Foden is still putting up decent numbers. He's still getting good minutes right now anyway. Who knows if a rest is coming, but if one does come, you'd imagine it's going to be against Exeter in the FA Cup, for instance. And given that Man United aren't the best defence, followed by Wolves after that as well, I'm not sure whether now is the time I want to be getting rid of him. So he probably stays for now, just because of the fixtures and because he's less of a problem than some other picks in my team, put it that way. So he stays for now, but I'm very conscious that in a couple of game weeks' time, probably game week 24, he's going to be a sell. And I've got some players in mind for who I will be replacing him with at the time. Up front, Erling Haaland is Erling Haaland. He'll probably be my captain away at Man United. And again, he's just not a problem. So I don't need to worry about that right now. My problem is probably going to be Ekitike. I'm crossing my fingers that the injury that we've seen him have over the last couple of weeks is something that probably won't last all the way through to game week 22. I have a feeling that he's probably going to be okay for this one. Burnley at home is a great fixture, of course, and obviously if he's fit, I undoubtedly want to start him in that game, but I will have to have plans in place in case he's still a major doubt going into the Burnley game. But between now and then, you'd imagine that we get some sort of update. And if I had to use my gut instinct, I would say he's likely to be okay for the Burnley game at the time of recording. So hopefully okay, but I will talk about a couple of different moves using Ekatike if he is still an issue going into Game Week 22. Okay, so the immediate first issue I noticed when loading up my Game Week 22 team was CUNHA, who has Man City followed by Arsenal. He's pretty expensive, and honestly, he's been pretty disappointing as well in the last few game weeks. Obviously, he picked up 1 goal for me since I bought him. That's not really enough for the price, and given the fixtures have run out and Bruno is back in the fold, meaning that CUNHA will lose the penalties that he might have had to take in Bruno's absence, I think there are enough reasons to sell him potentially now. The question is, do I need to do it this week? And if so, am I confident enough in any of the replacements to make the move now? So first off, what I will say is, although CUNHA is now a less powerful FPL asset without the penalties, Bruno being in the fold will probably mean that he gets created more opportunities to score for him because Bruno is a fantastic creator. So that's a little tick in the CUNHA column. And then Man City, I wasn't overly impressed with how they defended against Brighton. They're missing quite a number of very good defenders now. I wonder, at home, at Old Trafford, are Man United capable of scoring against Man City? Yes. CUNHA is one of their better attackers. So it's not a great fixture, but if I'm trying to work out how I think that game's going to go, can I see Man United scoring? Yeah. Can I see them putting up a good fight against their rivals? Potentially. So I don't think it's a fire sale that I need to make desperately this week. So whichever player I look to replace him with, I need to have real strength and conviction. I need to know for sure that they're definitely the pick that I don't just want this week, but I also want long term, because otherwise I can just roll the transfer, have CUNHA against Man City at home, which isn't great, but it's not as bad as maybe I thought it looked on paper to begin with. And at least then I can gather information and make the right move next week or the week after if I want to. So the 5 options that I'm highly considering to replace him with, and I should probably also mention Gakpo, who I haven't had space for on this graphic, but as a 1-week punt against Burnley might be interesting. I think it's too short term for me, by the way, and I've already got double Liverpool, so triple probably seems a little bit much. The other 5 are Rodgers, who's got Everton at home this week, followed by Newcastle away, Brentford at home, Bournemouth away. It's all right, but 0.27 XGI per 90 isn't great. Enzo Fernandez, best XGI of the lot in terms of the replacements here, 0.62 XGI per 90. Great fixtures coming. And there's an opportunity to maybe get on him early now at home to Brentford before we get to the really nice fixtures in Game Week 24 onwards, in which they play West Ham at home, Wolves away, then it's, I think, Leeds and Burnley after that. So it's a great run from Game Week 24. Arguably, it starts now. But I think there are question marks over how Chelsea are going to set up, where Enzo plays in that lineup. I think it's more likely that he now moves forward to a 10 role, given that Rosenia has good experience with Andre Santos, so maybe Caicedo with Santos playing a deeper role together, maybe it frees up Enzo Fernandez a bit, but then he's moving into a more advanced role where there are other alternatives, so maybe his minutes aren't as secure. So I just have some questions that may put me off buying him for Brentford at home followed by Crystal Palace away, given that they're good fixtures, they're all right, but they're not the exact fixtures I want him for. And I think it will be really important to make the correct choice of which Chelsea player I want to have for Game Week 24 onwards. Maybe it's Palmer, maybe it's Enzo, maybe it's Esteval. We just don't know yet. Enzo's probably the most tempting one because I feel like I've got the most confidence in him, but we will learn a lot of new information in terms of how Chelsea set up in the next couple of game weeks. And given that they're not the best fixtures of the bunch, maybe just waiting on him is a wise move. And then in a few weeks' time, I can bring him in still, given that he's still cheap enough. He's still putting up good numbers. West Ham at home is probably the easier jumping on point in my mind. Then you've got some of the cheaper players, Wilson and Tavernier. Wilson, for me, is a player that just keeps punishing me week after week. And the data's not even that bad. 0.39 is actually pretty good. Leeds away, Brighton at home, Man United away, Everton at home. I have a bad feeling that if I don't buy him, he's going to keep punishing me. And his ownership's just rising and rising. He's still cheap, but he's getting towards 6 million now. He's just one of those picks that I look at every single week. I check out their effective ownership. I'm like, yeah, he's going to score. He's going to assist. He's going to get something and it's going to hurt. So I am slightly tempted to move to him. But given that in previous seasons, he's never really picked up this many minutes before, he's never performed at this level before, I just wonder if this is still just a bit of a hot streak that's extending a little bit further than I expected. That being said, it is very tempting to just join the herd, I suppose, and say, you know what, this is going to continue, because it could still continue. The data is not that bad. 0.39 is very good data for someone at under 6 million. But then I've got a decision to make between him and Tavernier, because Tavernier's data is also very, very close to Wilson's, 0.34. He's got good fixtures, but they become really good from game week 24 onwards, Wolves away, and then it extends all the way through to when I plan on wildcarding around about game week, I think it's 32. And now with Semenyo gone and Cliver injured, Tavernier is likely to be the penalty taker. He's also on corners from one side at least, and he's not half bad on DEFCON either. So I think in terms of the different routes to points, Tavernier might weigh up pretty well to Wilson, and he's a bit cheaper. So I wonder if I go with Wilson, am I just chasing points a little bit? Whereas if I go with Tavernier, am I seizing an opportunity for a player that could be the next Harry Wilson rather than the last one? So I'm interested in him. In fact, I'm very interested in him. I'm just wondering whether or not now is the time to jump on, considering it's Brighton away followed by Liverpool at home. So maybe game week 24 is a better jumping on point. Then finally, you've got Bruno Guimaraes, who just continues to score. That's 3 double-digit hauls on the bounce. The data is worse than Wilson and Tavernier, and he shouldn't normally be on penalties either. It's only because Voltemada and Gordon were both off the pitch at the same time. But if there's one thing we know about Bruno G, it's that he will play 90 minutes. So if both of them go off, that now we know that he's going to be the third choice penalty taker. So there is a chance that in any given game, both of those players are off the pitch and he does take the penalties. The data's not terrible. It's about 1 in 3 in terms of expected attacking returns, but he does have several routes to points. He's a little bit more expensive than Wilson or Tavernier. So I wonder if for the money, I'm better off going with the other two, the cheaper two, who have slightly better data. Tavernier especially, who's also got penalties, seems like maybe the wiser pickup. And Wolves away is a great fixture, but after that it's Aston Villa at home followed by Liverpool away. I'm not sure if I'm in love with him as a pick after Wolves is out of the way. So it's tempting to just join everyone on Bruno right now and just say, you know what, he's going to continue. But with all of these 5, to be honest, I don't think any of them are really screaming out to me that I need to make this transfer this week specifically. And given that there are so many options that I'm quite tempted by, maybe I just roll the transfer on CUNHA, wait for another week and see which one I'm preferring in a week or two's time. Anyway, moving CUNHA out is not necessarily just a one-move job. I could also look at some more expensive players or maybe another Arsenal player. So let's have a look at some of the 2 transfer combinations, because I think those are going to be the ones that are really tempting me this week as well. Okay, so we're on to the part of the video I enjoy most, because I go a bit off script. It's a little bit rambly, but hopefully you enjoy it. 2 free transfers. There are a few different combinations that I could use to probably benefit my team, not only this week, but also over the long term, and bring in some players that I do want long term as options. So I think if I am making 2 free transfers, CUNHA is naturally going to be one of the 2 that leave. But let's assume, and I think so far in this video, I'm assuming that Ekitike is going to be okay. But if we assume that he wasn't okay, then I can free up quite a lot of money by selling him immediately. So let's say he's injured for this match. I can look at just getting Thiago straight back in. I think that is the easy, like, rip the band-aid off kind of move where, okay, the fixtures are not good. Arsenal at home, Newcastle away, and Chelsea away in there, Aston Villa away in there. It's probably about as bad as it's going to get. But this guy just continues to score goals. And it's a bit like Chris Wood last season, where I almost don't care what the fixtures are. If Brentford get any chances, he's likely to be the one on the end of it. So And obviously that also saves me 1.8 million. Now, he's not the only option I'm looking at up front. Now, you could also potentially downgrade the position all the way to Calvert-Lewin, or maybe even Mane, for instance, who's looking very good, although not necessarily playing as a striker for Wolves, but that frees up 4.4 million. So that could give me a load of wiggle room elsewhere. I could bring in Cole Palmer straight away for Phil Foden and have money spare, for instance. So I couldn't quite do it for No, I can't quite do it for Anderson, but I can give myself a really strong midfield 5, sell Anderson, go up to Enzo, go up to anyone up to 9.7 million. So that could be powerful as well. Let's, for argument's sake right now, just say Thiago. By the way, I'm also wondering slightly about Mateta, although he's not been great recently. Good fixtures are on the horizon, so maybe one to think about, but let's say Thiago for now. That would give me the money to upgrade CUNHA fairly dramatically up to 9.9. So unfortunately, I wouldn't be able to afford Cole Palmer, who would be really tempting. Obviously, good fixtures coming, but a bit like Enzo Fernandez, maybe even more so than Enzo Fernandez, I want to see how the next 2 weeks work out for Chelsea, where Cole Palmer's going to play. There are rumours he might be played off the right-hand side, which could be really powerful for him. But the minutes haven't been great recently. I would almost like to use these next 2 game weeks, Brentford and Crystal Palace, to get more information on Chelsea and on Cole Palmer, and then have a bit more confidence in jumping onto him from game week 24 onwards. So I don't mind necessarily being locked out of Cole Palmer for CUNHA right now, but even though the Man United fixtures aren't great, I think if I made this move, I'd just buy Bruno Fernandes. I'd just get it done. Because although the next 2 fixtures are not nice, he's a player that I know that I want long term. I absolutely, 100%, given that he's fit, want him in game week 24 onwards. So just buying him early, even with less than amazing fixtures, saves a transfer later down the line. So I'm a little bit tempted to just make this double swap if Ekitike is out. Let's say, however, he's not out. So let's reset that, load up option number 1. So this wouldn't be my starting 11, by the way. It would be something a bit more like, is that right? I think that's right. So let's say, again, CUNHA's out, but instead of selling Ekitike, let's imagine he's fit, I could sell Bukayo Saka instead. Now, I have been disappointed in Bukayo Saka recently. The amount of people just screaming for me to buy Declan Rice will probably be quite intense in the background of this video. So let's just say I make that move. I can downgrade Saka to Rice. That gives me 2.7 million to upgrade CUNHA all the way to Cole Palmer if I wanted to. But also I could still go Bruno Fernandes, have a bit of money spare. So let's say I was convinced enough to go with Cole Palmer immediately. This double swap, without taking a hit, brings me triple Arsenal still ahead of what could be a double game week in game week 26. Do go check out my previous video for more information on that. But then also I can get Cole Palmer, whilst he's a differential, ahead of the good run. Like I said, I've got my hesitations around getting Cole Palmer right now anyway. So I think I will wait and see how the Carabao Cup semi-finals go. Maybe Saka goes off injured. Maybe he plays 90 minutes and this move becomes more tempting to get Rice in immediately. But again, it's a move that I am looking at later down the line anyway, to use Saka to sell him probably for Cole Palmer in a couple of game weeks' time, or to do a double swap that involves getting Rice at the same time as selling Saka, and then also bringing Cole Palmer elsewhere, probably for CUNHA. For this week, I think nothing's going to happen in my defence. I'm probably going to leave it. I'm probably going to leave my Liverpool boys if they're fit, and my Man City boys away at Man United probably stay as well. But like I said, in a couple of game weeks' time, let's say we get to game week 24. In fact, I'm going to reset all that and go forward to game week 24. If I've got a few free transfers pocketed, then selling Foden, selling CUNHA, selling Ekitike, even selling Szoboszlai, that's 4 moves that I want to make. So if I roll the transfer this week, start off with, I think, a reasonably good looking team. I don't think it's a terrible one. I've got a debate on my mind as to which player, Alderete, Anderson, maybe Elliot Anderson could start, one of those 3. And I think right now that looks okay. I don't feel like I need to get rid of CUNHA this week, even though it's Man City at home. Man City haven't been that convincing from a defensive point of view, that I'm desperate to get rid of him immediately. And with Bruno back in the fold, I wonder if CUNHA has more opportunities to score now, given that he will get better service. All of that to say that I'm tempted to make the double swap. I really am, and just get rid of Saka now, upgrade CUNHA to Bruno, who is a better pick objectively. But I also don't mind just rolling the transfer, going into next week with 3, and potentially even then, I mean, CUNHA away at Arsenal is not ideal whatsoever, but I could arguably just play Anderson or Anderson, either or, and bench CUNHA, and maybe even arguably roll again. And then I've got 4 free transfers potentially to really go on the attack in Game Week 24. I'm in 2 minds. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Hopefully this last section hasn't been too rambly. Hopefully this video isn't 30 minutes plus, but I've kind of lost track of time just wondering about what I'm going to do. But yeah, I think CUNHA's the player I'm most likely to sell this week. I think if I did sell him, my gut instinct is saying go for a Tavernier, who's the cheap alternative, and it leaves my options open for upgrades elsewhere later on down the line. I don't love the next 2 fixtures, but I think for the price, he's going to be really good value for money. And like I said, 2.6 million to use in Game Week 23 means I can upgrade 1 or 2 players really easily. Game Week 24, exactly the same benefit where I've got 2.6 million. I can upgrade Soboslai, I can downgrade Ekatike and give myself even more money. I wonder if that's the move. Maybe I do just make the 1 free transfer for Tavernier, or maybe I just roll it. Let me know in the comments below if you prefer me rolling, using 1 free transfer, maybe using both and getting rid of Saka or Ekatike if he's obviously injured as well. Let me know if you've enjoyed the video as well. Leave a like, hit subscribe if you're new around here. I promise not to be as rambly in the next video, but hopefully everything I've said is in any way helpful to you as well. Anyway, I'll leave it there. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Leave a like, hit subscribe. Thank you all so much.